Okay, tomorrow there's also no Tachnun, because when the previous Rebbe was released from prison, they found out the news in the afternoon already of today, of Yud Beis, when the offices were already closed. So they knew that he had the information of his release, but he didn't actually get released until the 13th. So therefore Chabad celebrates both the 12th and the 13th of no Tachnun. Okay, back to what we were discussing yesterday. It's interesting. Yesterday we were talking about the women a kohen is allowed to marry, right? Not a grusha, not a zayna, not a halala. And we said also that if a girl's father is not Jewish, so l'chatchila a kohen cannot marry her. But if they got married, so then they don't have to divorce. It was interesting. Today a guy calls me, somebody obviously is a kohen, and he wants to know if he can marry, who he can marry. If he can marry a girl that was with a guy, and he said, how far do I have to check it out? And then he said, what happens if the girl's father is not Jewish? Can I marry her? And when I said no, he didn't like that one too much. He says, okay, but you told me that if they got married, that you could stay married. I said, yeah, but which rabbi is going to marry you? Yeah, whatever. But it's interesting the way all these things work. Okay. There's another din in halacha, and then after we finish all these din, we'll go through actually a chuppah, how a chuppah works, you know, the procedures of a chuppah, the reasons of the chuppah, why we do things in the chuppah. So there's a din in Shulchan Aruch that today, for whatever reason, a lot of rabbis are extremely lenient about, and it's questionable how they're able to be lenient about it. The Gemara says, Shulchan Aruch says, that a woman who gets divorced or widowed or converts, either one of the three, has to wait 92 days before she's allowed to remarry. It's a clear Gemara, it's a Mishnah, it's a Gemara, it's a Din Shulchan Aruch, everybody brings it down. That a woman, if she gets a get, widowed, or a woman converts, she cannot get married for 92 days. If a husband gives a get, he can get married the next day if he wants. But the woman has to wait 3 months plus the day of the get and the day of the marriage, so it's 92 days basically. Now what's the reason for this? So in the time of the Gemara, which is different medically today obviously because the medical situation is different, the Gemara says a woman can give birth after 7 months or after 9 months. In fact, it's a Rashi in Chumash with the Egyptians, with Moshe Rabbeinu, why she was able to hide him for 3 months, because she gave birth after 6 months, or she was pregnant 3 months before, whatever, and they waited the 3 months. So the Gemara says it's possible for a woman to give birth after 7 months or after 9 months. In fact, in halacha, it says that if a baby is born, this doesn't apply today, okay? But in the time of the Gemara, a baby that was born in the 8th month had no chance of survival whatsoever. Years ago. Now, I was supposed to meet with somebody Monday morning. So he called me before Shabbos. He said, you know what, call me Sunday and I'll set up a time with you Monday morning. He calls me up Sunday. He says, I have to cancel the meeting. He says, why? His wife just gave birth yesterday, a month early. And Baruch Hashem, the kid's well and they're fine. No NICU, no Baruch Hashem, everything's fine. In the time of the Gemara, in fact, there's a din in Hilchos Shabbos that a woman who gives birth, not nowadays, in the time of the Gemara, a woman that gave birth after 8 months, the baby is muktzah. If the baby is born because there's 100% no chance of survival, it's not even a viable person. That's how far halacha goes. But after 7 months and after 9 months, a woman could give birth. Now, what's the problem? Let's say a woman gets divorced or widowed or converts. Okay? And now, 7 months later, she gives birth to a baby. So let's say she gets married a week after the get, or after the widowed, or after the conversion, yeah? She'll get married a week later. 7 months later, she'll give birth to a baby. Now the question is this baby born 7 months after the second wedding? Or maybe she conceived while she was still married to the first guy, or while she wasn't even Jewish yet. Because it could be 9 months, it could be 7 months. So it's possible if she gives birth after 7 months after the get, conversion, or widowed, yeah, it's possible it's from the second husband, but at the same time it's possible it's coming from the first husband, because it could be after 9 months or after 7 months. So therefore Chazal say, because we wouldn't know who the father of the baby is, or for that matter, if the baby was born before she converted. So even though she was pregnant when she was converted, so then the kid's still a convert. So Yibashit needs to know when was the baby, and there's no way in Gemara time at least to know when the baby was born, after 7 months or after 9 months. So then basically you don't know who the father of the baby is, which is a big halachic. Number one is the Yokayin Alevi Yisrael, who's in inheritance laws, who inherits whom. Yichud, I mean, there's so many, who you can marry, there's so many different questions on halacha, who the father of the baby is, right? You can't marry, if it's your father, you can't marry your father's sister, it's an aunt. But if it's not your father, then you could marry that sister. So you have to know who the father of the baby is. So therefore, the Chachamim were very fanatic, by the way, and emphatic, that you can't get married after divorce, widow, conversion, until 92 days, because then we know if she got pregnant, it's definitely from the second husband, then it's not under 3 months, from the 6 to the 9. So then we know that she got married, that the baby belongs to the second father, not the first father. Why are Rabbanim lenient today with it? And a lot of from Rabbanim are emphatically against it, but a lot of from Rabbanim today, in today's world, they'll do a conversion, and that day they'll make a chuppah. Let's say there's a Jewish man married to a non-Jewish woman, right? And she's converting. So they'll do a conversion in the morning, and right after they'll make a chuppah, which is against Shulchan Aruch, but Shulchan Aruch says you have to wait 92 days. So they say, why can they do it today? Well, I mean, they say because you take a pregnancy test, so you know if she's pregnant or not. So if she's not pregnant, then you automatically know it doesn't come from the first house. But it's not so, in halach, it's not so simple. That's such a heter, and a lot of big Rabbanim are emphatically against what the Rabbanim are doing, but Lepel, that's the story. So therefore, a woman can get married, again, either divorced, widowed, or converts. And by the way, this applies, what happens if a woman's older already? A 70-year-old woman converts. She ain't having no kids. Well, Sarah did, but most of the time, in today's world, 70-year-olds don't naturally have kids. So the Din Shulchan Aruch says, and the Gemara says, Loi plug. There's no difference. We don't differentiate this age yeah and this age no. Chachamim said no, even if it's a 70-year-old, she cannot get married before 92 days. What's the exception to this? Very simple din. If she's pregnant. If she's pregnant already, at the time of the get, or the death, or the conversion, 1 second, if she's already pregnant, so then you obviously know who the father of the baby is. It's not from hopefully, it's not from the second guy. Hopefully it's from the first husband. So then halacha says, and the Gemara says, then if she's pregnant, then it doesn't matter. What?
This is even if she's not married, before conversion or remarriage.
If a woman, well, get obviously is on widows only if she's married. If a woman who's single converts, we need to know if the kid was conceived before the conversion or after the conversion. What's the difference? The fundamental difference, by the way. If a pregnant woman converts, yeah, halacha is that the conversion of the mother is valid for the kid. But the kid has a din of a ged, or if it's a girl, a giyatis. In other words, the kid doesn't have to go through conversion because the mother was carrying him and she converted. So the mother's conversion is good enough for the kid. But the fact that the kid was conceived not as a Jew automatically makes the kid not Jewish unless if he converts. So the mother's conversion is going to be valid for the kid. One second. So therefore,
You said it makes it a ger. The baby does have to convert.
Yeah, but the kid has a din of a get.
Yeah, you said he has to convert.
Okay, whatever. But the kid has a din of a get. Now, meaning if that kid is a get or a giyatis, right, that girl can't marry a kohen. If the baby was born after the conversion, conceived after the conversion, then the kid's 100% Jewish. For instance, there's another din by a kohen that we didn't mention. It happens, by the way, not very often, but it happens. What happens if one of the two parents is a convert before the baby was conceived? Okay, let's say a woman converted, she got married, and she had a baby. That baby does not have a din of a convert. So that baby could marry a kohen, right? Or whatever. In Shulchan Aruch, it's brought down, there's really, we learned in Kedushin, there's a machlekes about this, in Tanoim. But in Shulchan Aruch it says, an opinion that says, if both parents are converts, lechatchila they shouldn't marry a kohen. That's only if both parents are converts. Not if one parent. There's an opinion in the Gemara that says one parent, a convert, the kid could also not marry a kohen. But the Gemara says, Rambam Shulchan Aruch doesn't pass like that. But the halacha is that if both parents are converts, the kid shouldn't marry a kohen. I mean, if it's a girl, she shouldn't marry a kohen. If it's a boy, they can marry whatever. So that's all the issues why it needs to be another thing. Then there's another din in Shulchan Aruch. It's a Mishnah in Yavamis. It's a din in Shulchan Aruch. And today some people are more lenient in it, and I'll tell you why in a second. There's a din that if a woman gave birth to a baby, she's not allowed to get married for 2 years. It's called Meinekas Chaveira. It's a Mishnah in Yavamis. Clear Mishnah. If a woman had a baby and became divorced or widowed, she cannot get married for 2 years until the baby is weaned, that it's not nursing anymore. In the time of the Gemara, the weaning period, it's relevant in halacha today also, is 2 years. Why? What's the reason why Menekas Chaveira, it's called Menekas Chaveira, it's not allowed, the woman is not allowed to get married to a different man? It's very simple. The woman who gave birth to this baby, she has an obligation halachically to nurse that baby for the husband, for the father. The woman's role is to, one of the functions of the woman and the functions of the man, they have the different functions. So the woman has an obligation to nurse the baby for the first husband. Okay? Now, if she marries somebody else and gets pregnant, she might have to stop nursing. If she stops nursing, then she's stealing the rights that the first husband had for her to nurse his baby. You know, it's a halachic obligation from her to nurse the father of the baby's baby. Even though she's divorced, it doesn't matter. So therefore, there's a menekas called Menekas Chaveira. She is not allowed to get married for 2 years because she's going to steal the rights that she, the obligation that she has to nurse the baby. There's a tshuva, and Rabbi Feinstein has a tshuva, that nowadays women don't nurse for 2 years, so he's makel after 18 months. Not everybody agrees with that, but again, it's a clear-cut Mishnah, it's a din Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, what does it say? Yeah, I mean, she cannot get married until the baby gets 24 months old. By the way, the din is even more. Muberes Chaveirei. If she's pregnant from somebody else, and then divorced, dies or whatever it may be, she cannot marry until the baby's 2 years old. She has to wait for pregnancy, and after the baby's born, for the same reason, she has to wait 2 years. Because if she's pregnant from a different man, she has an obligation to nurse that baby. Right? So she has to wait until the baby's born, and then wait 2 years for the nursing time, for the nursing period to finish, and then she can go get married.
What about if you use a baby formula?
That's what he said, a baby bottle feed. In halacha, first of all, years ago they didn't have that. But even today, in halacha, you can't just change halacha like that. So there are people that I want to be more makel because today you have formula, but that doesn't matter, because if the first husband wanted her to nurse, she can't give formula.
He didn't want.
So then there's the issue, he has to get a wet nurse, as it's called. There's all the dinim of that. What happens if a wife gives birth and she says, I'm not nursing? So then there's a whole shiloh. What have to do? You have to get a wet nurse. And what?
But if she was widowed, how could she be stealing from others? It's not really.
Yeah, but still, she has that obligation to the husband. It's the husband's property. The baby is 50% husband property. Right? Hello, it's 50-50, right? So she has an obligation. It doesn't matter if he's dead or not. You can't steal from a dead man's estate. Right? She has an obligation to the man. She has to do it. If she doesn't do it, she's stealing from him.
But what if she had more kids before and she never nursed?
Doesn't matter.
She always used women.
Huh? So in Shulchan Aruch it says, even if she gave birth and she never nursed, you can't be makel. And if there's inyan dov or gadol, you have to ask a big shaila. It's not so simple. In other words, they blanket halachas, you can't. Somebody asks you a shaila, you have to eat on Yom Kippur? The answer is no. Right? That's the general rule. Are there exceptions to the rule? You know how many people Rabbanim give hatarim to eat on Yom Kippur less than a shir, whatever? Thousands. So but that's not the rule. That's the exception. The rule is you have to fast. Okay.